the relationships are all like domino effects. When you have one and it gets out of whack, it kind of like tilts and then it starts knocking other stuff over. So can you share with us a little bit about that? Because I know from your personal experience, you went through a loss and yet you raised children, you were productive at work, and you did a whole bunch of stuff that is demanded of a lot of other people, but they do not know what to do.
Well, there's no guide for this. You're totally right. And it's very hard to find the right guide for all of those types of scenarios that you just presented. And now there is. There's you who's helping people understand what is our relationship with both physical things and connections that we have in our lives, and also the relationship that we have with ourselves. So, what do we do with it? They say how we do one thing is how we do everything. And it's actually harder to live than it is to say that. Because if you are very successful professionally, you think, I've got this. And then you've identified with a successful professional, and you may be doing a really amazing job at work. The role and identity that you take at work is very different than that which you have in your personal life. At work, there's a clear beginning, middle, and end to your day, to projects. There's an overseer of some sort, whether it's a manager or even a client, so top down or bottom up, that's going to be ensuring that your work is meeting expectations. Otherwise, they're going to be supporting you, and or we're not going to make the numbers. It's so much easier, actually, to be professional at work. And I wouldn't say it's easy. It's a lot of effort. But people who are successful professionally, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be successful personally. And I'll give
But
you
one of the things we saw during the pandemic was people that were really successful at work and they had a title and this is who I am at work. When they were issued the stay home mandates, they went home and they started looking around saying, wait a second, now how do I identify? Because I identified as wearing this suit every day and driving the nice car and impressing the people and, bossing people around and, being the super duper person that I was at work. And now at my own home, my family doesn't really appreciate me for who I am. And so they lost that identity. And at the same time, while they were dealing with clutter in the insides of their homes and, kids that they don't spend so much time around, all of a sudden now they're dealing with that loss of identity as well.
that's absolutely key. So let's say that's the scenario, and now you're at home and your identity at home, you fill a different role in your family structure than you did professionally. And we are neurobiologically designed to connect with others and to reach out and make those connections. But the role that we fill in our personal lives, there's a lot more room for vulnerability, let's say. Because in the scenario that I just gave you at work, that's all very superficial. It's all very front lawn, front yard facade. Because when you leave work, you can leave all of that there and then be your own self with your own thoughts and your own motivations and inspirations and still make all the numbers at work. But now we're talking about your personal life. So where's the guide? Where's the inspiration? Where's the motivation? Where's the role model to help you understand all of the things you need? And equally important, particularly in this conversation, the things that you don't need. So, what's going to create space for you to feel safe? And I think safety, feeling calm and content and safe, is really the topic of conversation here. Being recognized for your accomplishments, who you are in the family and in your relationships. That's what we're talking about.
So my question then is, let's suppose that we are in an environment that is full of anxiety and stress, either self-created or it's created from outside elements like a relative has passed away and we inherited all their stuff, or we've lost our identity because of work and here we are at home now and we don't feel safe. It's a mixture of anxiety and stress and literally just feeling frozen and not being able to cope. How do we learn to even recognize that in our situation?
You actually asked about 4 different questions. I'm gonna see if I can pull them out.
Yeah, one at a time, please.
So, the first one is, and we can talk about attachment styles, and I will give you, like, the really high level understanding of this incredible theory of, attachment styles. But essentially, if we're born into this world, we take in information through our senses. We understand the world around us based on our 5 senses, bringing in information visually through sound, through touch, through smell, through taste. And we take all of that data in. And this started as soon as you started. So when you were born, wow, there's this huge transition in life. And now you need to learn how to stay alive at a time when you're vulnerable and you can't take care of yourself as a newborn. But you're born into a family or a community or a situation where there will be people who will care for the 7 primary things you need taken care of when you first come into this world. So here you are, you're a newborn, let's say, and all of these things still apply to you today. You take information in through your senses, you take that data, you compare it to things that have happened to you in the past. You use those experiences to decide what you would like the outcome to be or what your emotion is. For example, if you are taking information in through touch and you go, "Ooh, that's hot." Your emotion is going to be, "Ouch, that hurt." And the next time you get near the hot stove, you're not going to touch it based on the experience that you had before so that you achieve the outcome you want. So that's how we take in information and we learn from that. Now you're born into this life, into this family, this amazing situation, but the 7 things that you can't take care of for yourself initially, which include regulating your body temperature, so not too hot, not too cold, making sure that your thirst is satisfied, if you're hungry, if you're tired, if you need stimulation, if you need love, or if you need help because you're hurt. Those are the 7 things. Those are the same 7 things that you learn how to work in your family or your situation to help get your needs cared for. Then we're hoping at some point in time, you learn to take care of those 7 things yourself. So then you're learning to regulate on your own. And with that, you then build self-trust and self-confidence that you can handle things that come your way because you know that you can return yourself to that homeostasis, that contentedness, that safe place, that happiness, whatever you want to call it, where those 7 things are taken care of so that you are open and able to take in information from the world around you and create the life that you would like for yourself.